राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम श्री 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 राम जय राम जय जय राम
सर्वांगे सर्वांगे हरिचंदनं जगले कंठे च मुक्तावली कस्तूरी तिलक ललाट पलके.
It should go hand in hand. That's why there are 4 stages Papa said. First, in quest of God, the nearness, at the feet of God, the presence, in the vision of God, seeing Him everywhere in and around, and finally become one with all, world is God. These are the 4 stages Papa chose and He places before it. And in all this, He has been steadily maintaining. And these are the words, though Ramdas and Ram are one, Ramdas would like to be a chela, be a servant or a child of Ram. So that means that bhakti path. There should be a lover, and the loved.
Both complementing each other.
At the same time, when we go through many of his teachings, we find the highest Vedanta, non-dual. Consciousness is Brahman. Life is the expression of Atman. Everything is there. So he has been able to combine everything in his own life. And that is why in one of his articles he wrote this. He couldn't contain himself. I am ecstasy. The life that thrills in me vibrates all through the universe. I am the still, all-pervading spirit. Yet I move in waves of delight and ride on their crest at the same time. God is a cosmic presence, and that is myself. I am conscious that I am everything. Still, strangely, I am a calm, detached witness, unaffected and ever-growing truth. As God is all in all, He is love. Love is the light of the oneness of all life. Love is the light of the oneness of all life. I try to know what is love, and I am lost and become that love itself. I cannot speak anything about or anybody without feeling I am all that. I am seized with an intoxication. in which there is no duality or diversity. Under this influence, my pen traces on paper these effusions. My cosmic power causes it to move, pouring out my entire being in words of mystic splendor. Rain falls, and I am in its very drop. I am permeating the cool breeze, and what and where I am not. I and you are false. There is only one truth, and that is God. I am bewitched by seeing my beauty everywhere. My eye is He. My eye is He. The one good. When I write, it is He who writes. There is no end to my ecstasies. I am ecstasy. Oh words, how you deluded me. Words are He, delusion is He. My power dwells in the luminous heights of space, in the vastness of mid-air and the blooming earth. Are they all different from me? No. Yet, I write seemingly to puzzle myself. Verily, I am the greatest puzzle. One thing I can definitely say of myself, I am all love, compassion, smiles. When I see myself, I see the cosmos. I am the cosmos. When you see yourself, you see the cosmos. You are the cosmos. So I and you are one. Oh joy, oh blessedness. When we read this, there is a sutra in Narada Bhakti. When he says, intoxicated. Yajnatva matho bhavati, stabdo bhavati, atma ramo bhavati. This is how the sutras are brought out. Having known this devotion, one becomes intoxicated, one becomes silent, one enjoys in the silence. Matho bhavati, stabdo bhavati, atma ramo bhavati. One who has gained this all-consuming devotion becomes intoxicated and therefore mad with his own love divine. He cannot behave as all others do in the world, and due to his incapacity to conform to the usual mode and attitude of the world people, the members of the society brand him as mad. You remember in Quest of God, a mention has been made about two saints. One is always in ecstatic mode. You remember? In Quest of God. He is there. You can search. You can search here.
And the other is like
Search
a child,
here.
he's just
Search
eating anything that people bring for him and this.
So, one who has gained with his own love divine, he cannot behave as all others do in the world. And due to his incapacity to conform to the usual mode and attitude of the worldly type people, the members of the society brand him as mad. He sings the glory of the Lord always. He cries in ecstatic joy. He laughs in his own floods of inner peace. He smiles and weeps, dances and rolls in ecstasy, ever living in a private world of bliss, all of his own. Others around him have no entry into his private domain of endless joy and suffocating peace. The palace of fulfillment is built on the topmost peaks of satisfaction. No one can scale them and visit them there, where he lives in divine luxury of infinite peace. There was one such Avaduta near Trivandrum, beyond Trivandrum. We were taken there. Exactly all these things are there. No. Name I forgot. Suppose we go there, he will not look at us. He will be doing something. Only thing is, the love offering is beedi. Beedi. He will light the bidi and have a puff and then throw it, that's all. There are stacks and stacks of bidi there. People are, and he is in the midst. Nobody knows whether he takes any food or not. He takes tea, yeah, correct. He takes tea. Once or twice in a day, he goes out, spends about half an hour and come back. That's all for nature. Otherwise, he will be sitting, a blank look on his face. We were standing for more than half an hour. So when he says, devotion becomes intoxicated and therefore mad with his own love divine. He cannot behave as all others do in the world, and due to his incapacity to conform to the usual mode and attitude of the worldly people, the members of the society brand him as mad. He sings the glory of the Lord always. He cries in ecstatic joy. He laughs in his own floods of inner peace. Suddenly he will burst out in laughter. He smiles and weeps, dances and rolls in ecstasy, ever living in a private world of bliss, all of his own. Others around him have no entry into it. He doesn't share any thoughts. The palace of fulfillment is built on the topmost peaks of satisfaction. No one can scale them and visit him there, where he lives in divine luxury of infinite peace. Srimad Bhagavata describes the mind of such a great devotee. Hearing again and again from other bhaktas the stories of the Lord's incarnation and his leelas, the devotee's mind becomes overwhelmed with love and devotion for him. And he, with no sense of shame or reserve, bursts out, chanting and singing his glorious names, and his mind becomes merged with the Lord of his love.
Swagatam Krishna, Sharanagatam Krishna, Swagatam Krishna, Sharanagatam Krishna, Suswagatam.
Divine form of the Lord alone has the exclusive chance to be in his heart. When thus the devotee's mind and body become, as a result of continuous singing and dancing, quiet, he discovers within himself the meditative poise indicated in the sutra here as quiet. During such moments of utter meditation, without the help of any other sadhana, a true devotee comes to plunge deeper and deeper into his own inner quietude to reach ultimately the realm of the self, the Atman. Thus he comes to revel in the self, Atma Ramo Bhavati. When he makes us to read, in order that it doesn't become an expression of a highly evolved saint like Devarshi Narada, before that he takes us to such people, or he makes us to read. Papa in Inquest of God says in Jhansi, during Ramdas's stay at Jhansi, Mahadev Prasad took him on a visit to two Mohammedan saints. The first was aged saint named Mirzaji. He might have been over 60 years of age. Lean, bent. He would not speak, but there was a cheerful twinkle in his eyes. In short, he was a mere baby, simple, innocent, free. Mahadev Prasad had brought some eatables with him, which he thrust into the saint's mouth bit by bit. There was not a single tooth in the saint's mouth. The eatables were soft sweets. He chewed and swallowed them unconcernedly. He seemed to recognize nobody. His eyes had an absent and vacant look, though bright. He was visited twice. On the second occasion, he was found sitting on the ground outside his cottage, quietly tearing to bits stray pieces of paper scattered around him. The other saint whose name was Pirji, was comparatively younger than the Mirzaji. He would speak and reply to questions put to him. Mahadev asked Pirji whether happiness could be found in the samsaric life in which he was placed. At this question, Pirji seemed to have roused himself a little. His voice was firm and decisive. Well, brother, as I have told you several times, there is only one remedy, and that is give up the miserable life of the world, and going up to solitary place, meditate upon God, who alone can give you the happiness you are after. This is the only way and no other. Like that.
Swagatam Krishna, Sharanagatam Krishna, Swagatam Krishna, Sharanagatam Krishna, Iha Swagatam Krishna, Sharanagatam Krishna.
In Tiruvannamalai, one sadhu, a serious sadhaka, he was there. One day, he collected the, what you call, bhiksha. He was very hungry, and probably delicious items would have been given. So he was anxious to have it. So he was bringing it in a leaf or a plate. And as he was about to sit, another sadhu came there, and the craving was evident there. He was not looking at him, looking at the items. We call it in Tamil arti, the highest form of cravings. So instinctively, this man gave this. Without asking anything, without looking here and there, the man completely emptied it. And this person who collected did not have any food from morning. And he went without a word. So the time must be about 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the evening. As soon as he went, this man, he was watching. What did happen? With all anxiety, he was bringing it. The watcher in him was telling. And then he took there. Then another form came, took it away. With that bhavana, he sat. When he got up, I must take some rest. It was morning 5 o'clock. More than 10 hours. Stabdo bhavati. Ecstatic. So God gave him the test, When he passed the test, not keeping it for himself or keeping something, and it was an unconditional total offer. While he himself was craving for it. And with all good intentions, he was collecting it from different places. Instinctively he gave. And then, suddenly after this, he was watching. And then, what happened? So the test was given. After the test was given, he should be given these are all coming and going. The nectarian experience he should get. When you get this, the Devarshin, Narada says, Yajnatva Matto bhavati, stabdho bhavati, atma ramo bhavati. So when we go through Papas, we find in the vision of God plenty of such episodes we have seen. Now we know. He did not learn Narada Bhakti Sutra. But in Narada Bhakti Sutra all these things are there. So when we try, when he now placed before us his experience and then placed before us the text, now we find, oh, if you are trying to learn about Papa, if you are in real search of Papa, these are all the additional points he is now giving. This type of bhakti, not limited to a particular deity. All deities are included, all creation is included, not to a particular deity, where we unknowingly localize our Lord to a particular form, which unknowingly prevents us from expanding ourselves. So Vinobaji here talks about bhakti. You will also
कसूरी ललाट पलके
with water. By themselves they are of no use. Water on the other hand can cleanse even without them. Although their aid does result in better cleansing. It is like adding sugar to milk. How can there be purity of mind if the heart and soul are not there in yajna, in meditation, in patience, in penance, etc.? You may be doing some pradha. Suppose the heart is not there. Suppose we are doing charity. If the heart is not there. We are repeating God's name. If the heart is not there. If prayer is rendered. If heart is not there. Strict austerities. I will not take this, I will take this, and all those things, we have got that. And then what happens? If it is not there, meditation, concentration. Ravana also did, many asuras did tapas, standing on their legs for thousands of years, we have heard in Puranas. But if this is not there, bhakti is not there. So how can there be purity of mind if the heart and soul are not there in yajna, meditation, penance? Bhakti is nothing but such involvement of the heart and soul. All the vikarmas, all these, whatever listed now, yajna, dana, japa, tapa, dhyana, everything. All these stand in need of the aid of bhakti. It is the sovereign means. It is no doubt advisable that a man trained in nursing and having knowledge of different remedies should be deputed to take care of a patient. But if he lacks genuine empathy and compassion, he cannot render true service. A bullock may be strong and stout, but it would not pull a cart if it does not wish to. It will then refuse to step ahead, may even land the cart in a ditch. Work without involvement of heart and soul, without heartfelt empathy and concern, can give neither satisfaction nor strength. If we have bhakti, we would see the art of the great artist who could see the brush with which he paints. We could see the brush with which he paints. Once we have reached the source of our creation and have tasted the rare sweetness of water from the spring at the very source, we cannot but find all other things insipid and worthless. Many musicians with their accompaniment, they used to come to ashram. We used to closely watch, especially the mridangist or the violinist or the ganjra or the morsi. After the program is over, how they pack it. Before that, how they take it out from the cover or box and how they pack it back. what love they, with what tenderness they do. Even a busy person, whether the Bangalore people when they come, if the program is over at about 9:30 or 10 o'clock in the night, even then they bring lot of gadgets, lot of things. But each one is kept meticulously clean, meticulously in an orderly way. Nothing in it, no, they have to reach Bangalore from here, about 100 kilometers. But nothing in a slipshod, clumsy, irregular, half-hearted way. They are all teaching us what is bhakti. Bhakti is not to be limited to one particular object, one particular time. It is to be extended. They are teaching us. This is
कसूरी ललाट पलके.
no bhakta can be a true one unless he be a Vedanti. And no Vedantin is perfect unless he be a lover of God. Philosophy without love is madness. Love without philosophy is superstition. This has been the tacit and explicit declaration of all great acharyas, even down to our own era. Let us not forget this great fact. So when we were going through Papa's various articles, where he dances with this ecstasy, we try to understand what is the importance he gave among the three. He gave equal importance for jnana. But bhakti is little more. First among the equals, we can say, yeah. All are equal, but there is first among the equals. That is bhakti. Because otherwise it becomes raw, crude, dry. Dry. But without self-knowledge, while chanting Ram Nam, you will say you are chanting the name of your own self. You do not know that you are the self. So you must ceaselessly remember it until you realize that you are the self, Atmaram. Highest Vedanta. But at the same time, the way he escaped, the method he employed, we cannot explain, but we have seen. Bhakti is the topmost. And his bhakti, and finally it culminated in Parabhakti, seeing everybody. Now let us see what he says. There are countless objects in the world. They are to be divided into three categories. When Bhakta gets up in the morning, he has only three things in mind. First, he remembers the Lord. Then he makes preparation for his worship. The Bhakta is the servant, while the Lord is the one who should be served. The rest of the creation is the means of worship. It exists to provide flowers, incense and sandalwood paste for the worship. This is the triad of service. This is the teaching of this chapter, the 15th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. But normally a devotee worshipping an image does not look upon everything in the world as the means of worship. This is very, very important. While trying to understand the core of Papa's being, this is very, very important. Not limited to a particular form. Though all forms are equally respect-worthy and worshipful. But here, Vinobaji clearly says this. Normally a devotee worshipping an image does not look upon everything in the world as the means of worship. He picks and chooses a few things. He goes to the garden and fetches a few flowers, brings a few incense sticks, prepares some food offerings. All the means of doing penance, the means of doing karma, constitute the means for the Lord's service. The idea is to make all the actions the articles of worship in this way. This is the real bhakti approach. Nothing exists in the world except these three: the worshipper, the Lord, the means of worship. The indwelling and all-pervading Lord, me, the sense of individuality, and rest of everything in the world is articles of worship. Gita is infusing the spiritual discipline of non-attachment which it wants to impress on us with bhakti. Thereby it is removing the arduousness in karma, the actionness in action, rendering it easy. Everything is article of worship. So how can I process? That is our renunciation process. Everything is God's. Everything is an article of worship for Him. How can I keep something for me? Narada Bhakti Sutra, in the next unit, it is clearly mentioned about this. Because it is the nature of renunciation, there is no element of desire in that love divine, in bhakti. Love is its own fulfillment. To a devotee there is no desire, not even the desire for his own liberation. Love justifies itself. His only desire is for the love of his heart's beloved the Lord. Love is a reward in itself. To love the Lord for the fulfillment of desire is not true lover. It is a desire-prompted devotion, kamana bhakti. Such commercialism in religion cannot bring about any sense of fulfillment to the seeker's bosom. A true devotee never comes to demand anything from the Lord except more and more love for Him. And that this love in his heart should ever remain steady and grow in its dimension. In short, desire departs from the heart in which devotion has entered. Desire departs and devotion enters. Now you look back to Papa's.
Devotion ended, then it departed.
Yeah. Now you look back to Papa's, When he started, when he said Matto, you are also remembering. Once you remember in the passage of divinity as mentioned, when Papa was taken to severe austerities and serious sorrow, many people advised, many were panicky. So his brother, Russian brother, came there. He knew, no, not father-in-law, his brother. And he knew he had a soft corner for his brother. So when he entered, he knew what he was going to say. Then he said, with my Ramnam, I will chant in such a way that the walls will reverberate. Matto bhavati, Atma Ramo bhavati. So nothing else was there. When we read, when we go through the Narada Bhakti Sutra, and when we try to link with Papa's, suddenly, then Papa will also connect us to various Mahatmas with whom we got connected. At that time, we develop a personal reverence, that's all. And we prostrate, we gent, that's all. Beyond that, no. It doesn't enter into our heart. We thought he is indifferent, that's all. Positively indifferent. Udasin. He is not interested in anything. Beyond that we did not. But now we come to know it is all because of the devotion in its peak. Devotion for Lord is in its peak. So here, how to convert it in our day-to-day life? So, Gita wants every action to be imbued with bhakti. It is good to worship the Lord for half an hour. It is worthwhile to steady the mind and meditate on the Absolute, forgetting the ordinary worldly affairs for a while. At the time of sunrise and sunset, when the splendor of sunshine is particularly appealing. Such good habits must of course not be given up. But Gita is not satisfied with this much only. It wants that all the activities that we do throughout the day should be done in the spirit of worship. While doing everything, be it bathing, dining, sweeping, we should have the Lord in mind. This is real bhakti. For instance, while sweeping, we should feel that we are sweeping the Lord's courtyard. All our actions should thus become acts of worship. Let this spirit be ingrained to you, then you would see how your behavior changes. When we collect flowers for worship, we choose them carefully, put them delicately in the basket, see that they are not crumbled and remain fresh, and we do not even smell them. Let all the activities of life be informed with this spirit. Meticulous, orderly, and devotion, dedication is there. Any work, whether at home or in the office or with our friends. Wow. So today Papa is reminding us, bhakti, okay, don't compartmentalize that bhakti. Connect it to your workaday life. God is providing the necessary fields for us. See the way in which how many doctors and paramedical staff they are taking care of the COVID-19 affected patients. And how the country responds. Today we saw in the paper, all the defense forces, they take flowers and then go to these centers, and from helicopter they pour as a mark of their respect and gratitude towards these people. Very touching, very touching. Personally, nobody is known. Many of the doctors get affected by COVID. But in spite of that, because the moment a COVID affected person comes, the stigma comes, Whatever we may say, in our mind there will be some reservation to move. But here we find in India, it's a land of saints, it can't be otherwise. Where we find hundreds and thousands of such noble people, they forget themselves and do all these. All our actions should thus become acts of worship. One nurse, she got affected and she was treated. She recovered. She said, I should be again permitted to do this. When the migrant laborers were shifted from one state to another, special trains were chartered and police were there. But you see, they were all sent off with joy, When we go through that, we are seeing this. God is providing now fields. The police is not simply thinking that it is a duty, no. The paramedical staff or the doctors, they don't feel it as duty. There is a touch of love, touch of bhakti there. By making us to go through Narada Bhakti Sutra, by making us to go through his own words, by making us to go through Vinobaji's words, Papa is bringing this. Don't keep that bhakti in a shelf, in a puja room, on a specified day, in your room on a particular time. Bring it out. That is real bhakti.
Bring it out, throw. Bring it out, throw.
Through. When we collect flowers for worship, we choose them carefully, put them delicately in the basket, see that they are not crumbled and do not even smell them. Let all the activities in life be informed with this spirit. The Gita wishes to imprint this attitude in us. It wants all actions to become acts of worship. Worshipping for half an hour or so does not satisfy it. The holy text yearns to see the whole life charged with the Lord's presence, with the spirit of worship.
शूर चानूर मल्ल विशारद वलयापीत मुष्टिकासूर चानूर मल्ल विशारद वलयापीत मर्दन कालिंग नर्तन गोकुल.
He mentioned this universal love and service. To love all is the true worship of God. To serve all is the real worship of God. To love all is the true bhakti of God. To serve all is the real worship of God. This is what he says. So he is giving us an interpretation of bhakti. It is not new, of course. Now we know. It is all from the scriptures. The Indian legacy is like that. Indian tradition is like that. This is the land of saints, where we find, this is there in every act we should. We may fail, we may forget, but every now and then they facilitate us to go through such words. They want us to study the life and teachings of many, many great people. Gandhiji's life, Vinobaji's life. Work is worship, working. Everywhere. It is not to be. The final message to all of us is bhakti is not to be limited to a particular place, particular time, particular type. But it is to be stretched to everything. And a new dimension today, when we know that everything is His, everything is an article of worship, there is nothing I can claim it as mine. It's a wonderful dimension. We thought, Vairagya means, it is something to be cultivated. It's a negative thing. No. It is a positive approach where it becomes a reality. It is not that we cultivate Vairagya. The more and more our love for God is there. Yesterday and day before yesterday we saw, there are hundreds and hundreds of organisms, what do you call it? Microorganisms working in his body to keep us a fit person, to deliver the job entrusted to us by him. There is a wonderful setup he has created in our body, and they are all well regulated, well coordinated. We hardly take notice of the presiding deity there. So how to express our gratitude towards him? I have given you a sense of individuality with all this setup. We remember. Life is a gift of God. It is a Creator's gift of God. Creator's gift. The life is the gift of the Creator. How do we gift back to the Creator? By our living. The life which has been given to us is a gift of God. I should give back the gift by making us to live in that. Every moment I should become aware of all that He has given. Then that is the real bhakti, real paying off, real spiritual journey. Probably we can say a real summit also. That is why Papa used to say, even the starting of the journey is itself the fulfillment of the journey. You remember? Because this attitude is necessary, So far we have been thinking in our mind, we have given some color to all these words, jnana, bhakti, karma. But here it is brought down to the level of the daily life. The box is kept open now. Suddenly we find it is relevant at all times, in all places, and to all. Under the banner of bhakti, what we were doing and what are we supposed to do now? How do we translate? How do we translate this into our life? So Gita wishes to imprint this attitude. It wants all the actions to become acts of worship. Worshipping for half an hour or so does not satisfy. Nothing like I will exist. The sense of I and mine will be completely erased. Everything will be for the Lord. There will be nothing else except wearing ourselves away for the good of others. The Gita is exhorting us repeatedly to remove the sense of I and live a life devoted to the Lord. Imbue the life with bhakti. The Lord is the master, I am the servant, creation is the means of service. There is then no question of getting encumbered with anything. Life will then be free of any worries. So we have seen bhakti should be combined with karma. But it is also necessary to have jnana fused with them. Gita is not otherwise satisfied. This does not mean that these three things are distinct from each other. We use different terms for them for the sake of convenience only. Karma and bhakti are one and the same. There is thus no question of combining bhakti with karma. The same is true about jnana. How can we have jnana? Gita says, you will have it when you see the Purusha everywhere. The eternal servant is Purusha, the Lord. The recipient of service, the Purushottama, is also Purusha. And the creation which flows continuously takes different forms and provides different things for worship. That is also Purusha. All are different forms of Purusha. What does this outlook imply? It implies an attitude of perfect and flawless service to all. If your sandals squeak, oil them. Keep them in good condition. The Lord is present in them too. The spinning wheel is a means of service. Lubricate it regularly. Otherwise it will refuse to let you spin. It too is Purusha. It should be kept neat and clean and in working order. The whole creation should be seen as full of consciousness. Suppose we go for drying the clothes, somebody would have also been lying. One cloth may be lying on the floor. Check up with your mind. Whether you become indifferent to that, you take your clothes and come back, or you take the cloth and put it in the where it should be. The word is very, very touching. Whole creation should be seen as full of consciousness. as if it is not inert, insentient matter. That is why it is telling, hey, where are you going? I am lying down here.
No energy.
Eh?
No animate.
When we sweep in the morning, suppose something is left out, we come back and do it, no. It tells us, hey, what are you doing? The whole creation should be seen. How many times we have read all these, But every time he gives a new dimension. Something he opens up. It should be kept neat and clean and working order. The whole creation should be seen as full of consciousness. Do not look upon it as inert. Nothing is inert. Nothing is devoid of his presence. The spinning wheel that hums melodiously is not inert. In it is the Lord's image. On the polar day we worship the bullocks, shedding our pride. In fact, we should always have the polar spirit in mind while taking due work from them. It should not be restricted to a single day. A bullock too is a form of law. We should also take due care of the plough and the agricultural implements. All the means of service are sacred. How grand this vision is. Worship does not mean offering flowers, etc. to the image of the Lord. Keeping anything neat and clean and tidy is his worship. Be it a lamp or a sky key or a door hinge, the means of worship should be spotless, faultless. Divine consciousness pervades everything. When we have this vision, jnana will enter into our karma.
Kasturi